शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजनानुकूल शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलतिकार मोला भक्त सेवा माधव तिथि भक्ति जननी जेतन पालन कोरी माधवती भक्ति जननी जेतन पालन कोरी कृष्ण बसती बसती बोली परम आदरे को बोड़ी कृष्ण बसती बोली गौर माजे सब स्थाने कोरालो भ्रमण रंगे गौर अमार स्थाने कोरालो भ्रमण रंगे से सब स्थान हेरिबो आमी प्रणयी भक्त संगे से सब स्थान प्रणयी भक्ति संगे मृदंग वाद्य सुनिते मन अवसर सदा जाचे मृदंग वाद्य सुनिते मन अवसर जाचे गौर विहित कीर्तन सुनी आनंद हृदय नाचे जुगल मूर्ति देखिया मोर परम आनंद होया जुगल मूर्ति मोर होया प्रसाद सेवा करिते होया सकल प्रपंच जाया प्रसाद जे दिन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाया जे दिन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाया चरण सिधु देखिया गंगा सुख न सीमा पाया तुलसी देखी जुड़ाए प्राण माधव तोषणी जानी तुलसी देखी जुड़ाए प्राण माधव तो गौर प्रिय शाक सेवने जीवन सार्थक मानी भक्ति विनोद कृष्ण भजने अनुकूल पाय जा भक्ति विनोद कृष्ण भजन अनुकूल जा प्रति दिवसे परम सुखे स्वीकार करो ताहा I'll read the translation. Let's read it. The dust from the lotus feet is conducive to devotional service, while service to the Vaishnavas is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. I observe with great care the holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion. As my dwelling place, I choose with the greatest of reverence and love the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. All those places where my Lord Gaurasundar traveled for pastimes, I will visit in the company of loving devotees. My mind always begs for the opportunity to hear the music of the mridanga. Upon hearing the kind of kirtan ordained by Lord Gaurachandra, my heart dances in ecstasy. By beholding the deity forms of the divine couple, Sri Radha, Krishna, I feel the greatest joy. By honoring the Lord's prasad, I conquer over all worldly illusions. Golok Vrindavan appears in my home whenever I see the worship and service of Lord Hari going on there. Upon seeing the Ganga, which is a river of nectar emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, my happiness knows no bounds. The sight of the holy Tulsi tree soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. By honoring Shak, the green leafy vegetable preparation, a dear favorite of Lord Chaitanya, I consider my life worthwhile. Whatever Bhakti Vinod obtains that is conducive for the service of to Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest of joy. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana 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 Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimiraandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of spiritual masters, some of whom are here. Thank you very much. We'll read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita like we do on every Ekadashi here at ISKCON Hyderabad and many other temples. So we are reading this fourth volume, I believe, of the Prabhupada Lilamrita, which is entitled In Every Town and Village. He says someone who doesn't have a copy of the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, if you don't have it, it's the most gripping story ever. So if you don't have it, beg, borrow or steal and get one. Okay, you can read it online, but it's even more fun if you have your own copy, which you take along with you everywhere, even when there is no internet connection, no Wi-Fi. It's really something very sweet. So we are continuing from where we left off the last time. The last paragraph was, the last few sentences, he was always Krishna conscious. So Swarup Goswami Maharaj writes, and he always acted in accord with Guru and Shastra. But exactly how he would act in a given situation was unpredictable. Whatever he did, however, was Krishna conscious and correct. And he was always instructing them as in all of us, his example. Shri Gauritai ki jai, Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi ki jai. I was reflecting on this actually before we start the reading today. I was reflecting on this, and a story came to my mind. You know, we sing the song when the deities' doors open. We sing Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More. In that song, there is a particular last stanza that says Daya Karo Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamage Narottam Das. So when I read this last line there, he always act in a given situation was unpredictable, but whatever he did, however, was Krishna conscious and correct, and he was always instructing them by his example. This one was very instructive, and this actually reminded me of this particular story which was told to me by Rupanunga Prabhu, who is a very senior disciple of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He's my Shiksha, one of my Shiksha Gurus, and taught me Bhagavad Gita for 5 years continuously. So he told me this story in terms of how we should aspire to behave within this song. So when you think about this song, Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivas Acharya are contemporaries. They are of similar seniority levels and they are very good friends of each other. And however, Ramachandra Sangha, Ramachandra Acharya is not a contemporary of, he's a contemporary, but he's not on the same seniority level as Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivas Acharya. He's actually, Ramachandra Acharya is actually a disciple of Srinivas Acharya. So now you think about it and reflect on this statement. Whatever he did was correct, Krishna conscious and correct, and he was always instructing them by his example. This should be our mood. Whatever we do should always be Krishna conscious, and whatever we do should be correct. And what is the definition of that? The gold standard of that, Krishna conscious and being correct, is when a god brother of our spiritual master hankers for our association. Ramachandra was a disciple of Srinivas Acharya, and Narottam Das Thakur, the great, mighty Narottam Das Thakur, is aspiring for the association of a disciple of his, practically speaking, god brother. Okay. There is a story in this connection, which is why is he, the level of Ramachandra's dedication and understanding of his spiritual master's mood. I'm going to just talk about it briefly, and then we'll continue this beautiful chapter. So, once Srinivas Acharya, who was a grihastha, a pure devotee, was in samadhi, was in dhyan, he was in trance. And his wives were a little bit worried about their husband's well-being, because he had been in trance for 3 days and he had not eaten or drank anything, obviously, because he was in trance. And they were fine until they saw that his breathing was getting slower. Now they were getting a little bit worried about their husband, and they came running to Ramachandra. And they said, you need to come right now. Your spiritual master is in trance. He's been there for 3 days, and you need to figure out what happened. So the disciple comes running. Okay, he sees that his spiritual master is sitting in trance. So what does he do? He sits down next to his spiritual master and starts chanting the mantras given to him by the spiritual master, and enters into trance and goes into the same place where his spiritual master is in his trance. So Srinivas Acharya is a manjari in the pastimes of Radha Krishna, and Ramachandra Acharya is one of his assistants, one of the manjari's assistants. So shows up there and goes and asks Guru Maharaj and said, everybody is worried, you have been away for many days, what's going on? He said, I'm on a mission. Radharani has lost her earring and she has told me to find it, and now I've been looking in this kund for a long time, not finding the earring, but we have to find it. This is the mission given to me. So Ramachandra, in his manjari form, dives into the lake, goes around looking for this earring, and he finds it. He finds the ring, and then he takes the ring and he brings it back to his spiritual master, to Srinivas Acharya. He's not like, I found the ring, Radharani. He gives the ring to his spiritual master. His spiritual master then takes the ring to Lalita Devi, Vishakha Devi, and then they deliver it to Srimati Radharani. So Radharani is very pleased. She delivers a prasad from her own lotus hands to Srinivas Acharya. And Srinivas Acharya delivers this prasadam to his disciple, Ramachandra. And then both of them, mission is accomplished, so both of them come out. And when they come out, Ramachandra is holding the prasadam given to him by Srimati Radharani. And then the wives are there, eagerly waiting. Both of them come out of trance. And then they ask what happened. And then Srinivas Acharya tells the whole story, how his disciple came and helped him to execute the mission given to him by Srimati Radharani. So then the wives of Srinivas Acharya say, how do we get this kind of devotion? So then Srinivas Acharya, who has given the prasadam to Ramachandra, and Ramachandra has the prasadam given by Srimati Radharani herself in his hands, he delivers it to the wives of his spiritual master. And they take the prasadam and then they attain the same kind of ecstatic mood. Now, this is a little bit esoteric kind of pastime, but what I wanted to stress here is that if we are in such a mood that we are in perfect harmony with the mood of our spiritual master, that is very pleasing to the spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada himself is in such a mood that is always in harmony with the wishes of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So we are meant to be like that. We are meant to not necessarily be told what is to be done, though that is required in the beginning. We are meant to know what is it that my spiritual master wants. How should I be thinking, acting, and speaking so that my spiritual master is pleased with my effort. And it takes some time to get used to it, but this is our aspiration. So Radheshyam Prabhu was speaking about chanting in the morning, and he was saying, what is the goal of this activity? Of any activity, whether you're a student in college, or whether you're working as a professional, or you're a businessman or a businesswoman, or you're a lawyer, you're a social worker, whatever you might be, you might be a medical professional, you can be any of different things, or you're a monk in the temple. You want to ask yourself, what is the purpose of the activity that we are doing? Okay? So, when we are chanting, we have a certain purpose, a dheya. We do a sankalpa in the morning, and then we chant our rounds. And then, when we are reading the Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam, which by the way is non-different from the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which describes the activities of the pure devotees of the Lord, pure devotee of the Lord sitting right here. So, it's non-different. So we should ask ourselves, what should be the objective of reading the Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam? So the answer is there in that story that I just recounted, which is the objective should be that I want to act at every time, place and circumstance with my every thought, word and deed being in complete harmony with the desire of Srila Prabhupada and his dedicated and sincere followers, disciples, grand disciples, all of our Shiksha Gurus, everybody that we have, who has helped us in our Krishna consciousness. Okay? So with that mood, with that sankalpa, we'll now start reading this ecstatic chapter, section from this chapter, which describes the devotees in Surat, in the Gujarats, in the state of Gujarat. The devotees are doing Harinama Sankirtan. So the devotees went out today. I could not go with them today, but the devotees went out for Harinama Sankirtan. They go out every day, by the way. You're welcome to join them. They do Nagar Sankirtan, led by Vishwakirti Prabhu. He's very dedicated to that seva. So, but you can reflect on this, okay? On Prabhupada's last morning in Indore, he continued the story of Ajamila. Now just look at this, okay? Srila Prabhupada is talking about the story of Ajamila. He explained that because Ajamila had uttered the holy name, he had immediately obtained salvation, even though he had been so sinful. We can reflect on our own situation, whatever we might have done before we entered into devotional service, or sometimes even after, while we are still trying to find our footing. Quote, Srila Prabhupada is saying, so Ajamila, at the time of his death, just remembered his youngest son, whose name was Narayan. The very name of Narayan has got the full potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. That is the secret of this Nam Sankirtan movement. By chanting the holy name of Narayan, you immediately contact the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nam, the holy Lord's name, is not material. It is spiritual. Krishna and Krishna's name, there is no difference. Long pause by Srila Prabhupada. He continues, in a very appealing voice, Ajamila began to ask his son Narayan, please come here. I am dying. He was very afraid of the Yamadutas. Quote, Krishna sent the Vishnudutas to give Ajamila shelter. The Vishnudutas looked just like Lord Narayan with 4 hands. With a grave voice, they said to the Yamadutas, what are you doing? Stop. You cannot take this man to Yamaraj. They were not yelling, they were not shouting. Real authority is in gravity. It's not necessarily in getting out of control. Real authority is in gravity. And when a person has genuine authority, not just by a position that was given to them, but they have the heart, they have real genuine authority, then everybody listens to them. But our whole Krishna consciousness movement is encompassed in this paragraph. We are doing Nam Sankirtan so that we can contact the Lord. And we are doing Nam Sankirtan so that everyone else can contact the Lord, whether or not they want to or they know that it is important, or whether or not they care about it. We don't really get into all of this. We just chant Hare Krishna on the streets, wherever they are, even in the most darkest covered places, completely encapsulated in the darkness of material nature. It's a place like Toronto, right? The people are so. So when I read this chapter, I was very enlivened. I was like, "I say bhi ho sakta hai." This can also happen, because this doesn't necessarily happen in Toronto when we are chanting out, whether we are alone or whether we are in a group. This what is going on in this chapter, as we will read shortly, does not happen. Prabhupada ended his lecture and he stayed indoor. Having accepted an invitation to travel to Surat in the state of Gujarat and hold Krishna conscious programs, he and his disciples would be leaving shortly. Devotees from Bombay would also join them. Prabhupada had come to Indore for the Gita Jayanti Mahotsav, but actually the Mahotsav was but a small part of his preaching in Indore. He had met hundreds of people, made life members and friends. This is really important. Made life members and friends. So Bhaktimarg Swami, who is a sannyasi in ISKCON, one of my teachers, one of my Shiksha Gurus, he said, don't go out for fundraising. He said, go out for friend raising. Because the moment you make a friend, the funds will be there, no problem. But otherwise, it's like pulling blood. You're saying, come here, I want to put a needle in your arm and take 2 liters of blood. It's like that. Fundraising is like that. Unless they already are friends, in which case, So whatever Srila Prabhupada has done, we still see. I meet these families. I met one family, just one gentleman from a family whose family has been giving donations to the ISKCON movement. His parents are disciples of Gopal Krishna Maharaj. I met him in Frankfurt airport. And he has such a deep impression. He has never met Prabhupada. He has never met actually Prabhupada's disciples also. But such a deep impression that Prabhupada has made on their family, he continues to be generous to ISKCON. That's the quality of friendship that Prabhupada has cultivated with that family. One meeting maybe, somewhere in Bombay, and they are sold for life. And they're still, supporting us in so many of our projects all over the world. Right? I was last Janmashtami, 2 Janmashtamis ago. This last Janmashtami I was here, but previous Janmashtami I was in Hyderabad. And one devotee came and said, he came just in the door. He was not wearing a tilak. He was wearing Western clothes. So I did not recognize him really as a devotee. And he's from a Sri Vaishnava background from Chennai. And his family lives in Toronto. And I said, Hare Krishna, you do your usual spiel when you're standing at the table. You say, Hare Krishna, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Please help us. Because Indians already know the Gita, right? All the Indians know the Gita. So you can't tell them anything about the Gita. You have to ask them for their help, especially when they're in the Western countries. So I started asking him. He said, stop. And he said, I want to make a donation. And he wrote a check for 5-figure dollar amounts right there on the spot. And he said, oh, I meant to give this. I just could not come to the temple for a long time. And what's the connection? His forefathers have met Srila Prabhupada and Giriraj Maharaj and so on in Chennai. Right? Oh, you don't have to do anything. You just have to be there. So anyway, in Indore would leave a lasting impression. This lasting impression. Baba Bal Mukund is saying, I have seen many sadhus and great saints in this Gita Bhavan. And this is a Baba Bal Mukund saying, I saw Srila Prabhupada also in the same place. I was very much impressed by Srila Prabhupada and his preaching. It was because Prabhupada had revealed the reality about bhakti, because he was a pure bhakta, that he could change the people of the West and give them another dress. He could give them another diet. He could entirely change their culture and give them true bhakti. And this was the greatest thing Prabhupada has done. Let the world say as it likes, but he has done a marvelous thing regarding Lord Krishna's bhakti. And note, I got into a fight in the temple bookstore once, or Radha Madan Mohan temple bookstore, with one gentleman who was insisting that actually this was not the best Gita and the Gita that somebody else has written is the best Gita. And I just couldn't control myself, but we parted peacefully. He did not take the Gita, but he took another small book, which is a start. So he is saying the following sentence: what Swami Vivekananda, Swami Ram Tirtha and others could not do, Srila Prabhupada has done. It's a marvelous thing. Actually, this now applies to India also, because India is so westernized that to change somebody's dress, to get them to put on a dhoti and kurta is a big deal, you know. So it was a big deal when I started putting on a dhoti. So Surat, December 17, 1970. Here is the ecstatic part that I'm mentioning, which is a result of Srila Prabhupada fully acting in every time, place, and circumstance according to the wish of his spiritual master, and his disciples are experiencing it. Okay? Just as we are experiencing it today. It was like a dream come true. Thousands lined the street for many blocks, while the devotees, playing karatals and mridangas and chanting Hare Krishna, made their way along. Spectators stood on rooftops or clustered at windows and doorways, while others joined the procession. The police had stopped traffic at the intersections, allowing only the Kirtan procession to pass. The earthen road, freshly swept and sprinkled with water, had been decorated with rice flower designs of auspicious Vedic symbols. Green, freshly cut banana trees adorned either side of the way. Overhead, women's saris, strung like bunting across the narrow roadway, formed a brightly colored canopy over the Kirtan party. You can imagine how small this, that a 6-yard sari can bridge the gap, right? Over the Kirtan party. Mr. Bhagubhai Jariwala, Prabhupada's host in Surat, had advertised the daily parade routes in the local newspapers, and now, day after day, the devotees were holding Kirtan procession throughout various sections of the city. While more than 20 of Prabhupada's disciples led the daily procession, thousands of Indians chanted, cheered, and clamored to see, and women threw flower petals on the rooftops. Often the procession would have to stop as families came forward to garland the devotees. Sometimes the devotees would receive so many garlands that their blissful faces would scarcely be visible. Garland still here. You can see those pictures from Yaduvar Prabhu's videos. He's mentioned in this section as well as John Greaser. He's Yaduvar Prabhu, the famous filmmaker, who has made Hare Krishna and many other movies and other footage also from other devotees. You can see the devotees in Surat with the garland still here, distributing garlands to others. And they would distribute the garlands to the people in the crowd. Never before had the devotees met with such a reception. This is a fact. Like, it's very rare to see this kind of reception, even in India nowadays, leave alone these devotees who had just come from the Western countries. It is a city of devotees, Prabhupada said. He compared the people of Surat to dry grass catching fire. Actually, this is also true of all of India. I find book distribution extremely easy in India. Compared to the West, you have to spend gallons of blood to distribute one small book. Convince them for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Convince them to part with 5 cents. So difficult. But here in India, you just have to stand with the books and people just come to you. You're gravitated by the books. I'm not doing anything. It's the book. So people are very pious here in this holy land of India. It's very, very sacred. The people who live here are very special. Okay. He compared the people of Surat to dry grass catching fire. By nature, they were Krishna conscious, but the arrival of Srila Prabhupada and his Sankirtan party had been like a torch, setting the city spiritually ablaze. Om Madhyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. Srila Prabhupada has brought his devotees. The entire population of Surat seemed to turn out every morning as tens of thousands flocked at 7 a.m. to the designated neighborhood. Men, women, laborers, merchants, professionals, the young, the old, all the children, everyone seemed to be taking part. Just like Chaitanya Charitamrita. Andhagana, like every single kind of cramming the streets and buildings, they would wait for the Kirtan party. And when the devotees arrived, everyone became joyous. Devotees also went out at 7 a.m. I'm not sure how many people they met on the streets. It was kind of quiet there, isn't it, in the morning? So they came at 7 a.m. They were told about it. Prabhupada attended only a couple of the morning processions, preferring to stay in his quarters at Mr. Jariwala's home. Each morning, Prabhupada would come out onto his second-floor balcony just as the devotees were leaving. Although the mornings were cold and many of the devotees sick, what is the date here? December 17, 1970. And the weather was different from now. It was actually cold in December. In Surat, it's a little bit north from here. um, although the mornings were cold and many of the devotees sick, seeing Prabhupada on the balcony, offering them his blessings, eased their troubles. Prabhupada would wave and the devotees would set out on the street chanting. This is another thing. The devotees had no special paraphernalia other than mridangas and karatals, no flags, no marching band, no ratha cart, just an enthusiastic kirtan party. One enthusiastic kirtan party is all that. A couple of devotees enthusiastic, just fire up everybody on the street. It doesn't take a lot. And there was no official pandal, no sadhu samaj, no Vedanta Sammelan, no Gita Jayanti Mahotsav, just an entire city of Krishna Bhaktas waiting eagerly for the American Hare Krishna chanters. To be worshipped for chanting Hare Krishna was just the opposite of what the devotees had experienced in the West. Yes, I can confirm this even to this day. It's complete opposite. People say to me on the street, they say, "Hey, get yourself a job." I said, "This is my job." Go back to where you came from. That's exactly why I'm doing this. But they don't understand what I'm saying exactly. But they think I'm being cheeky. But actually I'm being honest and truthful. Vaisheshika Prabhu teaches everybody to be very honest and truthful. And all you have to do to be honest and truthful is recite statements from the scripture, right? So Vaisheshika Prabhu stops somebody, shakes his hand, and starts chanting the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam in English. That's what he says. And he says, the Krishna's other verses, he chants random verses from the Bhagavatam. Whatever he's reflecting on, he holds the person's hand. He's a big 6+7, like nearly 7-foot man. And when he approaches somebody, right, they're like, completely mesmerized by this magnetic personality. He catches hold of their hand and he starts chanting the Bhagavatam to them, right? And then in 2 minutes, they've taken a book, made a donation, contact information is taken, like everything but initiated, right? Right on the street. And so this can happen. One enthusiastic person can do this. Right? It happens all the time when we go out on Harinam. We meet somebody who is really fired up by this. This is opposite of what the devotees had experienced in the West. In Hamburg, Chicago, New York, London, Los Angeles, the devotees had been insulted, threatened with arrests, assaulted, and ignored. Happens all the time. We are told to move on. Of course, sometimes they had been tolerated and even appreciated. This happens, but never honored. Like nobody is bringing garlands on the street in the Western countries. It's a miracle if somebody just comes and engages a little bit. The daily Sankirtan outing was exhausting since the route was long and the stops frequent. Many of the devotees had sore throats from singing and the usual digestive upsets persisted, but the devotees took everything as the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who was allowing them to engage a whole city in his Harinam, in his Sankirtan movement. And this is so very cool. So when the devotees invite us to go out on Harinam or book distribution, we should go. We should just go. We should go with them. Because we can experience this ourselves, if we go. You can see Lord Chaitanya, you can live in the Chaitanya Charitamrita if you go out on Sankirtan. If you stand behind a book table, see all the crazy magic happening, like a person, who, things happen, just happen in 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And you're like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. This person was moved by this movement, right? The daily Sankirtan, 20 devotees from the West had just arrived in Surat, as had an American photographer, John Greaser. This is Yaduvar Prabhu, on assignment for the Asia magazine. John went out every day to shoot the Kirtan processions. And as he did, he felt himself becoming caught up in something much greater than a mere photo assignment. The story of Jayananda Prabhu. I've actually met people who Jayananda Prabhu has inspired. I've met them. And once we were in Puerto Rico, and we were not on a Harinam Sankirtan party. We were on a vacation from the winter, heavy winter in Toronto. But there is a temple in Gurabo on top of a hill. It's a Sri Krishna Balram Mandir, which Krishna Balram, Radha Shamsundar and Sri Gaurnita are there in Gurabo, Puerto Rico, in the middle of nowhere practically. And so we were not dressed in devotional clothes. We were going to the beach. We were passing through a market. It's very much like India, where you see people welding on the side of the streets. Otherwise, Western countries are very regulated, but Puerto Rico is very much like India. So we were there, and we met one person lying on his back and welding something. Same India style. He had very long hair, big beard. I said, "Hey, are you Hare Krishna?" He said, "I'm used to this kind of stuff," because I was still wearing my tilak. So somehow or the other he saw that and he said, "Hey, are you a Hare Krishna?" He said, "Oh," I said, in Puerto Rico somebody is saying Hare Krishna. So I came to where he was. He stopped welding, came out from under thing, took out his mask and said, "I knew you guys when all of you could fit into this room." He said, and that room was like probably 8 foot by 10 foot. It was like a shutter store. And he had met Jayananda Prabhu. And he says, "I met one of your saints." I said, "Who's that?" He says, "I don't know. We used to call him Johnny Ananda." and I met your guru. And he says, "He was a small man. He was a big man, but he was a small man. But he was a big man, but he was a small man." That's what he said a couple of times. Because he meant to say that he was short in stature. So Prabhupada was a Bengali gentleman. Not very, you still don't see many Bengalis who are very tall. We have some exceptions here. But, and then he was like that. And then he started explaining to me how Johnny Ananda had basically invited him to hold a nail. Can you imagine? That is the start of the person's Krishna consciousness. "Hey, come here, hold this nail." That's it. Some hippie passing by. "Hey, come here, hold this nail." So, when we go out on Sankirtan, we should also try to engage people in that way. "Hold this book for me, or help me set up this table." Just don't feel shy. Just ask for help. It will do them great benefit. So anyways, just to continue. Yadubar Prabhu was finished. He covered this Sankirtan assignment and he was finished. His photographs are famous. We have these ecstatic photographs that he has taken. The people of Surat who consider themselves Krishna Bhaktas at heart saw Prabhupada as a great saint. This is another thing when the saintly souls see a saint, they recognize that person. And they saw his disciples in whom they found the true Vaishnava qualities. Now again, they were acting at every time, place and circumstance as Prabhupada wanted them to act. They were very exemplary in their behavior. The devotees dress Vaishnava qualities as saints also. The devotees' dress, behavior and the way of life showed pure bhakti yoga and their kirtan was genuine worship of the holy name. By honoring the Lord's devotees, the people of Surat knew they were honoring Lord Krishna himself. This is deep. And devotion to Krishna was the heart of their own culture, yet they had never expressed it to such a degree as now. Prabhupada brought it out. After several days of kirtan processions, the mayor of Surat, look at this name, Mr. Vaikuntha Shastri. Don't we want politicians like this? Mr. Vaikuntha Shastri. You go for some permission or something, you're chanting Harinam right there. Mr. Vaikuntha Shastri closed all schools and proclaimed a holiday throughout the city. Can you believe it? Like this doesn't happen anymore. But we should. We are not pure enough. That's what my Guru Maharaj says. You, Mahabhagavat, are holding back the Hare Krishna movement with the lack of your purity. You rascal, if you were a pure devotee. One day he called me from Austin just to tell me this. Why are you not yet? When were you going to do this? I was like stammering. I didn't know what to say. Just stop trying and do it. So anyways, so that's closed all schools and proclaimed a holiday throughout the city. Everyone was now free to celebrate the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and chant Hare Krishna. Signs throughout the city read in Gujarati, quote, "Welcome to the American and European devotees of Krishna and welcome to the members of the Hare Krishna movement." The devotees felt tired and blissful as they returned to Mr. Jariwala's home and Prabhupada was waiting for them. As soon as they saw him, they all bowed down. Chidananda Prabhu is saying this. Prabhupada was at the foot of the stairs, greeting us. We were in complete bliss with flower garlands all over us, big smiles on our faces. We were very happy that we had been so well received. It was as if Prabhupada was standing there saying, quote, "Just see how wonderful this Krishna consciousness is. Just see how happy you are." End quote. He was standing there smiling. He was so happy that we were happy. This is very instructive for us. Right? So, spiritual master loves to see the disciples happy. So, Radhesham Prabhu was saying in the morning that spiritual master is like the mother and the father, both combined. And spiritual master loves to see that his disciples are in ecstatic mood, having fun, chanting Kirtan, the whole Guru-ashtakam that we sing in the morning extols the spiritual master's joy upon seeing all the various activities of devotional service. So this is the spiritual master's mission. The spiritual master may appear to be strict, especially if I'm not following the spiritual master's instruction, then they're like thunderbolt, but they are meant to be like that so that they can make us happy. It's just like the doctor who cuts you open. What do you say of a person with a knife cutting you open? But what would you say? Depends on what that person is doing, isn't it? So a person cutting you open to cure something inside, heal something inside is a great saint, savior. But a person cutting you open for different reasons is not so great. It was very famous when I was growing up. I was in Hyderabad, and those are the days when there were all these riots going on, people getting stabbed all the time. Not that kind of opening. Okay, spiritual master doesn't want to do that kind of stuff. The spiritual master wants to make us happy. So the strictures, the rules, the regulations, all of this are so that we can come back to our healthy condition. So it's very important to not see those rules and regulations as being cruel. This is actually the spiritual master's greatest mercy. You should accept those wholeheartedly. Wake up early in the morning, follow the regulative principles. Take only Krishna Prasad, unless it's a life or death situation. Don't take anything else. The devotees were not alone, however, as they returned to Mr. Jariwala's home. This is again a scene straight out of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Vrindavan, when he came to various places, the devotees were thronged, like people from all over the place. They would walk. There were no buses or taxis or rickshaws back then, no bicycles. They just walked there. Hundreds of Indians thronged behind them, eager to see Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, his disciples, and a clamoring crowd of Surat devotees squeezed tightly into Prabhupada's rooms. The guests, those who got in, it was after all a private home, inquired about ISKCON and its activities, while those outside pushed to get inside. Now pushing we can experience every festival, no problem, right? Especially if you are not dressed in devotional clothes, then go to some famous place of pilgrimage where you are not known, then you will experience this pushing. It's heavy. This is India experience. I was just recently traveling in a couple of places, and there was still space, but people will still push past, like it's a special Indian thing. You have to push past. They don't feel like it is done. We were in Tirupati, in our ISKCON temple, and we were standing in front of Radha Govinda, and my wife said, "Watch, I'm going to do an experiment." And she said, "I'm going to stand here where there is 6 feet on this side and 6 feet on this side." And the devotees walked in, right? And the devotees walked in, pushed her aside, even though there was 6 feet on this side and 6 feet on this side, and went through to see Radha Govinda. She said, they don't feel like they are actually doing something unless you push somebody out of the way. It's their eagerness, They love it. It's a part of the culture. She hasn't figured it out. She was born in South Africa. She feels very uncomfortable with the crowds. But it is a fact of being in India. You have to get pushed. Otherwise, you're not in India, You don't get pushed. It starts at the airport, right in the lineup for the immigration or whatever. You have to get pushed. 6 people have to go ahead of you, cut the line, and then okay, now I am here. This is it. But the important thing to note is that they will also push like that for the Lord's mercy. That's important. They won't push in the West. They will be very far away, but they will be very far away for Krishna consciousness also. But here they will push for Krishna also. You're standing in a crowd. I'm standing at the PNT colony Chaurasta in the evenings, distributing the books. And one person has taken a book, maybe 2 persons have taken a book. The others have not taken a book yet. But they are just eager to find out what is going on here. The big time FOMO, like what are these people discussing that we are missing out on? And then they join the conversation. And then the boys who have already taken a book distribute a book to the boys who have not taken a book. That doesn't happen in the Western countries. Very rare. Extremely rare. Right? So this is a thing. Yeah, sure, people push, but they push for Krishna also. This is very cool. I will stop here. What time? Can we go on? Is there breakfast being served? Huh? We have to chant? Okay. Okay, so we'll just end. Yeah, I'll complete the paragraph. Where was I? The guests, those who got in, inquired about ISKCON and its activity, and while those outside pushed to get inside, the crowd outside around the house grew so great that traffic couldn't pass. This is common that this happens. While Prabhupada continued to answer questions inside, the crowd outside grew larger and more restless. But by their good fortune, they had realized Prabhupada's greatness and they wanted to be with him. As their desire became stronger and their eagerness more intense, Prabhupada got up from his seat and walked out to the balcony. The crowd roared. Can we roar? Can we roar? Hare Krishna. No. Just once Hare Krishna. Everybody, please roar. Can you roar? You know what it means to roar? That is roaring. Okay? Can you say Hare Krishna like that? Everybody, once together. Hare Krishna. No. These people here still did not do their part. These people are very wonderful. These people did not do their part. Come on. Can we roar Hare Krishna? Please. Hare Krishna. Oh, that is amazing. The crowd roared Hare Krishna. Their arms upraised. Oh, you didn't raise your arms this time. You have to raise your arms and roar Hare Krishna. Okay? Together. 1, 2, 3. Hare Krishna. Arms. Raise your arms. Once more. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.